Hey guys, in this video, we're gonna go over what the credit requirements are for a VA loan, and it might be a bit different than you think, and maybe even different than what you've been hearing from other lenders. So in this video, we're gonna go over what VA itself requires and some other rules lenders might have. These are called overlays. Hey, I'm Christian, and I've been in the mortgage industry since 2001, and I've worked on thousands of VA loans. So in this video, we're gonna go over what VA itself requires for credit. Now, some lenders might have other rules that are over and above what VA requires, and as I mentioned, those are called overlays, but not all lenders have them. So if you're doing a VA loan, it's a good idea to work with a lender that has very few overlays. If you know somebody getting a VA loan, please be sure to share this video with them, and also hit the like button if you can. Many lenders will say that you need a 620 or 640 credit score for a VA loan, but the truth is, VA doesn't actually have a minimum credit score requirement. It's even listed directly in the VA handbook. You could have a 580 or even a 560, and if you meet the credit requirement, you can still get approved. Excluding bankruptcy and foreclosures, which we'll talk about in a minute, VA says satisfactory credit is generally considered to be reestablished after the borrower has made satisfactory payments for 12 months after the date the last derogatory credit item was satisfied. That means if you've made payments on time for the last 12 payments, your credit is considered acceptable. Now, you could have had collections, late payments, etc. as long as you have made 12 payments of on-time payments recently. Credit is considered acceptable. Medical collections are completely ignored for this rule, and so are any late payments made by an ex-spouse, so long as the divorce decree states that the account was their responsibility and the account was on time prior to the divorce. Now, VA does allow some exceptions to this rule in certain circumstances, and it's up to the lender to determine if your scenario fits the exception. In order to qualify for an exception, the credit event must have been caused by something major that was out of your control. Keep in mind, you still have to income qualify, and these past late payments can still affect the amount that you might qualify for. Now, this is because there are two different types of approvals that VA allows. One is called an automated approval. This is where a computer program called Desktop Underwriter or Loan Prospector analyzes everything and determine whether or not it's approved. Those are the automated underwriting systems. The other is called a manual approval. So this is similar to how approvals were done before computers existed. An underwriter reviews everything and compares it to the guidelines. Some lenders don't do manual approvals. Now let's look at how this changes if there is a previous bankruptcy or foreclosure. And let's start with a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. This is the type of bankruptcy where everything is wiped clean and you don't have to pay anything back. Now, the typical waiting period for this is 2 years from the date the bankruptcy was discharged. However, there are some exceptions to this rule. If it was caused by circumstances beyond your control, such as unemployment or medical bills, and you've reestablished clean credit for 12 months, you may be eligible for the exception. VA states that divorce is not an allowable exception. Now, for a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, this is a little different. This is the type of bankruptcy where you pay back a portion of the debt to a trustee who then distributes it to the creditors. After you have made 12 payments to the trustee, VA will consider your credit acceptable. And if you're wanting to purchase while in the middle of Chapter 13, you'll need to get approval from the trustee in order to proceed. Now, this has been a bit tricky in the past, so we typically recommend that you wait until you're officially discharged from the Chapter 13, but it is possible if the trustee will allow it. Now, if you've had a previous foreclosure, the waiting period is typically 2 years. And yes, like pretty much every rule, there is an exception to this one as well. It's pretty much the same as the exception for the Chapter 7 bankruptcy. If it was caused by circumstances beyond your control, such as unemployment or medical bills, and you've reestablished clean credit for 12 months, you may be eligible for the exception. VA states that divorce is not an allowable exception. Now, if you've had a short sale, that's when a property is sold for less than the balance owed on the mortgage. The same 2-year waiting period applies unless your payments were on time when you did the short sale. I must admit, I haven't really seen a short sale take place where the payments were on time, but that's the rule. Now let's look at collections and charge-offs. These do not need to be paid off in order to get approved. Now, if you have a larger collection though, such as something over $10,000, a lender might want to add a monthly payment to your debt ratios just in case. If they do, it's typically 5% of the balance divided by 12. So for a $10,000 collection, That would be $41.66 on the monthly payment. Judgments are treated a bit differently. Now, a judgment is a court order to pay something, and these give the creditor a lot of legal authority to do things. The creditor can take money directly from your bank account. They have a lot of power. So for that reason, VA requires that the judgment either be paid off or you have a payment arrangement. And if you have a payment arrangement, you've had to have made payments on time for 12 months. Now, just a heads up, judgments might not show on a credit report. Be sure to disclose a judgment to your lender up front. If you don't, the underwriter will find it and it will cause some major problems at the last minute. Well, there you have it. You're now an expert at VA requirements. If your loan requires manual underwriting, check out this video right here. It will give you what you need to know in order to get approved. So see you on the next one. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Appreciate you.